Welcome to Spiral Up with Ava Marie. Today we have an extraordinary man, and I say extraordinary because he has come through tremendous adversity in his life and spiraled up, and it was one step at a time. Welcome to Spiral Up with Ava today, and Richard Burns, you've written a book, haven't you?
Yes, ma'am.
And the title of that book,
Live or Die, a stroke of good luck.
wow. Can you tell us what you mean by a stroke of good luck?
Yes, ma'am. Ava Marie, in 1968, I was dead. I had a cerebral hemorrhage, and it took 42 years to come back properly.
42 years?
42 years. It was the day after Christmas in 1968. My wife was asked to, my late wife was asked to make the arrangements, and the obituary was written about some silly TV commercials I did, and I said to myself, is this all I've accomplished in life? Well, I've come back to do a job, and the job is there are 7 million people out there that I can help, and I'm going to. The book is my handbook of hope.
Wonderful. Well, you've been through the fire, and you have bounced back stronger than ever. You are so dynamic. You walked in here with such energy. And who would have known? I mean, if they had just met you for the first time, no one would ever have known that you had been through this for 40 years, 46 years, right?
Actually, 44 this year, I think.
44 years.
Yeah.
Well, I understand that your wife was very instrumental in your recuperation.
Yes.
And what is your sense of strength, inner strength, in facing this tremendous challenge to rejuvenate your body? Just, and to have to do it just one day at a time. And it was a slow, arduous process, wasn't it?
Yes. It's what you do, you rewire your brain to communicate with your body and make it function. This is why the book, Ava Marie, I call it a handbook of hope. My job, and it all goes back to the third hospital, and I was about ready to cash in, and if I had a gun, I would have blown my brains out. Wow. And a voice came to me out of my dreams or sleep, and the voice said, if life is worth living, then you're going to fight for it. Well, I thought, I'm here, and quite frankly, now my job is to make sure that those millions of people out there are able to realize that they too can recover from whatever, cancer, stroke. I won't go into medical stuff, but I would say this. Every 45 seconds, somebody in this country has a stroke.
Wow.
That's roughly 500,000 a year.
In this country alone?
In this country alone. It costs this country $63 billion a year to take care of strokes.
Wow.
The medical stuff we'll get into later, but the main thing is this. What I've tried to do is to describe in the book the steps, the phases, the problems, simply to tell each problem, pain, anger, depression, despair, stress, handle each one at a time. And the secret is that you take each one at a time and you resolve that problem, and then you go on to the next one.
How did you resolve it? What step did you take to be able to resolve, say, the anger?
Okay. Anger is something that is not nice. And if I were angry, how could I help anyone? So I analyzed what was involved, what did I have to do to resolve the anger, or the pain, or the stress, or whatever the case may be. And step by step, a little bit at a time.
And what did you do so that our listeners could maybe incorporate that in their healing journey?
First, you have to admit to yourself what the problem is. Secondly, you've got to analyze it on the basis of how much and what it is. And then you say to yourself, is this what I want for myself? Do I want despair? Do I want good stress or bad stress? Do I want number 10 pain, or do I want number 1 pain and maybe it'll all go away? And you take it one step at a time, and it may take you a month or so, but by doing this, you will eliminate these problems. In the book, I try to do they're the dead man's 8 steps to wellness. But you go through phases in a sickness in which nothing happens for a long period of time. 6 months, maybe a year, maybe 6 weeks. And then once that plateau is, the end is reached, you go up to the next plateau.
Right.
You can accomplish miracles if you will it.
Your belief system.
The mind.
Your belief system.
That's right. Remember this. I said this earlier. Mm-hmm. It's not just what you do. It's not what you make of something. It's what you do with what you make of something. It's up to you. You have a mind. Mm-hmm. I lost mine. I got it back slowly but surely. And when you make the mind tell you and tell the world what can be done, you can do just about anything. You can accomplish miracles. Just try.
So you established your intention.
Yes.
And you feel you're co-creating with the universe?
Let me put it
this way. Or did you do it all alone?
No, you can't do it alone. I mentioned earlier that I had a visitation, and if life was worth living, then fight for it.
Right.
You've heard in the past about a death experience where there's a big, long, black tunnel.
Right.
And people go down that long, black tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
There's a light at the end of that tunnel.
Did you have that? I mean, where you saw the tunnel and the light?
I was in the tunnel. I saw the light. I never got to the light because you see, the next morning I woke up. Wow. I crawled for a year. I couldn't really talk for a year. The mind wouldn't function for 4 or 5 years. I couldn't hold a drink of water or anything in my hand for 10 years.
Wow.
You just take one thing at a time. And I try in the book to show people, no matter what you have, whether it be a stroke or cancer, I'm repeating, but no matter what it is, you can come through if you know what you're doing. And I liken this to a television, a football game. There is a master control in television. That's the brain. There are individual control rooms to do the close-ups on a running play, a passing play, the line play, or whatever it may be. What you do, you take the individual control, the individual studio, if you will. Let's say that is your problem with anger. And you make that control room focus on the problem, and that control room sends impulses, electrical impulses, to the master control, or in this case, your brain. And as I did this, and I'm jumping a bit for a reason, as I did this, I found that the brain all of a sudden began to function again. Because in the beginning, it was nothing. I had 3 or 4 hospitals. They didn't know what a stroke was in those days. They didn't know what physical therapy was. They didn't know anything. They couldn't figure me out why I was still alive. So I feel that my job is to help people know how to do it. And that's why I call it a handbook of hope.
Wonderful.